Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for coming back. Thank you for tuning on to Town with Tanya. This is a podcast where you dive deep into the stories of change makers, innovators, and conscious creators shaping a better world. Today's guest is the definition of multi-dimensional human being. From being abandoned on the streets of Seoul, I can never say it correct, please forgive me, as a baby, to building a purpose-driven beauty brand and becoming a model after 50. Jennifer is a woman who refuses to be boxed in. She's a mother, a CEO, a spiritual seeker, a disability advocate, and a living example of what it means to create beauty from within. If you're ever doubted your worth, I tell you today, question your path. Or if you ever felt like you had to shrink to fit into someone else's version of success, this conversation is for you. Get ready for a radical self-love, some wild stories, and real talk that just might change the way you see yourself. Let's dive in. Hey, Jennifer, welcome. Please welcome Jennifer Norman.
Thank you so much for that round of applause. You are way too kind, way too kind. Hi, everyone. It's so great to be with you and on the show. How exciting.
Yes, I'm so happy I finally got you here. I've been wanting to have models on the show, but it never works out the timing. So this is great. I have a 3-for-1 special that you do many things. Author, CEO, I mean, just everything. So I'm so excited. So you've been in the beauty business for a while. You've seen beauty from inside out and from outside in. What does real beauty mean today? Like, and how can people start recognizing it in themselves?
Yeah, thank you so much for that introduction. And yes, that is exactly right. I have been in the beauty industry for probably about almost 30 years now. And the interesting thing is that there has been such an interesting evolution with beauty over time. And I really think that now we are at a bit of a turning point. Whereas before, there were all these beauty standards being dictated, particularly to women, of course, also men. But, it really was about making you uncomfortable with yourself so that you would buy products or buy fashion. It was like this hyper consumerism in order for us to spend our money to try to fill these holes. I call them like these God-sized holes within our souls, with all of these things, in an attempt to showcase something that perhaps we're just missing ourselves. And so that's why just a few years ago and through my personal experience, I just decided to do what I could to really abandon that kind of lifestyle and that thinking. And it really took a lot of work, but I really thought, it's going to be so much more purpose-driven and conscientious to live from the beauty from within. And so that's what I do today.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so I know you have a few different companies. So what
Yeah.
inspired you to start the human beauty movement? Like, and how did how did your personal journey influence that mission?
Yeah, I started the Human Beauty movement in 2019, and it really was the culmination of my experience in the traditional beauty industry and
Mhm.
also hoping to really turn it on its head, to turn it inside out rather than outside in, and to think about what it is to be a mindful beauty entrepreneur.
Mhm.
So I was thinking about what is like the messaging that I'm putting out there. How can I
Mhm.
do it in a way that helps to build up people's self-esteem and mental health rather than tearing it down? How can I help people be okay with themselves and do what they can to really fall in love with who they are and where they're at, knowing that every day can be an opportunity for self-improvement, but not necessarily guilting or shaming or blaming or feeling bad about yourself. And so
Mhm.
the human beauty movement really is more about an intersection of beauty and wellness. It is also a crossroad of diversity. I love the idea of championing those who hadn't had a voice in the past or a face in the past, and really think about how we can give all faces, all body sizes opportunities to shine. And so I
Mhm.
do quite a bit of work to, get out this positive message, whether it be through mental health workshops or mindfulness programming or even my own Human Beauty Movement podcast. And then
Mhm.
also putting out products that align with a rich with a ritual of self love, really thinking about how we can establish these meditations and these mindful journeys that really foster and integrate this whole approach to beauty from inside out.
Wow. Well, as a Korean American adoptee, has your how has your identity shaped your
Mm.
view on inclusivity and representation in the beauty and wellness industry?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. Because I will say that being adopted into a white family, it's one of the most beautiful things, first of all, the compassion and a family willing to actually reach across the globe and find another child and bring in that child into their family is like, I count my blessings every day for that miracle of my beginning. But I will say that it took a lot of work for me to felt like I really belonged.
Right.
As much as anybody else would really try to help me feel like I belonged, there was
Mhm.
something within me that just looked around and just sensed that I was different. And
Mhm.
then, of course, being teased, it's, when you're young and you're looking different from everybody else, of course, that doesn't help either. And so those like little micro tears that happen when you're young and that stay with you lead to a sense of insecurity, of just not feeling like yourself. And so you start looking for cues on how you should be and how you can belong. And
Mhm.
that's what leads to what I was talking about earlier is this, okay, well, maybe if I wear the right thing, maybe if I do my hair in the right way, maybe if I say the right thing or I act a certain way, then people will accept me and think that I am, somebody that, they want to be, they want to have as in their friend group. But
Right.
you feeling empty if you don't necessarily do that exploring by yourself. And it's hard to do when you're young. I think it's something that just has to be something that you recognize. That's where the mindfulness really comes in. And I think
Yes.
the younger generation is doing it a whole heck of a lot better than we, we
Yeah.
older had. But certainly there's a lot that we can do to, just kind of shine a light and a mirror up at media, to shine a light at those influences that are out there and
Mhm.
start creating an algorithm of positivity and
Mhm.
better messaging that helps to build and boost confidence and lets people know that they matter and that they do belong, and that, yeah, we can be supportive of the self work that it does to take to heal and become okay with yourself.
Absolutely. And I do believe it starts from childhood. I was an orphan, foster, all the above. And
Mhm.
uh, and so I'm lucky that my mom, forever mom, was very, and my dad was very big on telling me things like, so even if everything around was going on negative, they always sent me some kind of positive message about my personal beauty. You're beautiful the way you are, your hair is beautiful, whatever it is, just the way I am. So
Yeah.
that's probably why I was never the kid that you can tease like that and say, "Well, you're ugly." If I thought I was ugly, it's because I thought I was ugly, not because I'm brown,
Right.
because my hair is different. You know what I'm saying? But that's
Right.
early programming, I call it,
Yeah.
in a good way. So you have to teach children as young as 4 or 5 that you're beautiful as you are, and so is Mary with her curly hair, and so is Jane with her blonde hair, and so is so and so with her afro, and so is this is
And
the
so is Norma
repetitive.
Staley. Hi, Norma. Thank you for commenting.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so you saw it now, right? Yeah, that you have to teach that. That's something you really have to teach children young, even if whether you adopt, not adopt, whether it's your friends, kid, whoever, it doesn't matter. You have to teach them young because that bullies start when you're young. And imagine coming into a place, especially I was an older forever child, I call myself. So I was 7. Imagine at 7, like everybody knows you're not really supposed to be there, right? But luckily, my parents were like not trying to hear that. That's your foster kid. No, they weren't trying to hear that at all. So I'm lucky again. But if teaching it young is what I believe is key, and that's
Mhm.
for all beauty principles. So if kids see that, which is why I like your books, by the way, I'll get into that. But I like to see diversity for everything, not because just me, because I want all kids to feel like they belong where they're at and without change. So that's the key. Yeah,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah. So you've had so many chapters: corporate executive,
Mhm.
founder, model, mom, a lot. What one chapter you thought was an ending, but it turned out to be a beginning?
Yes, I will say that because I had gotten my MBA, I got into that hustle culture, the beauty culture, and, really let myself get to a place where, I was doing the executive thing.
Mhm.
And then I had a baby. It's like I really feel like that is such a pivotal moment for women. I mean, it's not only their birthday, but you are born again when you have a child. And of course, I think that a lot of women now want to try to do it all. They want to be super mom, they want to be super worker, they want to be super wife or super partner, whatever it is. And we spread ourselves so thin. And I got to this situation where I was working so hard, I was getting no sleep. And then, I think the universe told me in so many ways that you need to take care of what is priority. My
Mhm.
son fell like almost fatally ill. He fell into a coma when he was 2.5 years old and was diagnosed with a very rare genetic disease. It was at that time when he was hospitalized that I quit my job, stopped working, and I was at the hospital with him by his bedside 24/7.
Mhm.
And of course, for me, I was like thinking to myself that this is a whole reshaping of my identity of like the person that was such a hard worker. I was like,
Mhm.
no, that stuff is not important at all. The beauty industry, I could care less about what color lipstick that I'm
Right.
going to be launching tomorrow when I've got a son sitting here in the PQ in the hospital on life support. And
Mm.
so the fact that the Lord gave me him and he was able to show me so many miracles. He just turned 19, by the way, last
I
month.
believe that. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's really reshaped my whole approach to what is important in life,
Mhm.
what my purpose is, and how I think about what spirit is and the value and the blessing of human spirit.
Mm.
And so that to me is worth so much more than any kind of materialistic achievements that anybody would ever, try to strive for. It's really about how are you connecting with people? How are your thoughts? How is your love? How are you vibing?
Mm.
And knowing that energy is life giving. A lot of people don't realize it, but just the energy that you imbue shines and is beautiful and helps, have a ripple effect over everything that touches your life.
Wow. Well, raising a son with complex needs takes a lot of strength. Most people can't even imagine. What has Kyle taught you about love and resilience to change your life forever?
Yeah. He is a boy. For those who are on the podcast and are just meeting me for the first time, my son has what's called a mitochondrial disease, and it's an energy deficiency, which means that his body doesn't make as much energy as is required to sustain a normal life. And so he had brain damage. He has neuromuscular disconnection, and so he's non-mobile. He's non-verbal, and he essentially is what I call like my beautiful Buddha. He just
Yeah.
there silently and just I can just feel his beauty. I can feel his love.
Mm.
And to me that has really taught me so much because there is a quiet strength in his ability to survive and to go through what we would consider extreme pain, frankly.
Right.
He is gone through things like couldn't breathe, couldn't move, cramping, seizures, all of these things. But
Mhm.
yet, just his beautiful energy, you can just feel how peaceful he is. And so it really taught me, true strength.
Right.
And it's almost like if he can go through that, if he can, choose, because I do believe that we as souls choose our life forms. So like if he comes and he chooses to be in this way, how could I ever complain about
Mm.
anything in life? How could I ever say, like something is not going well and oh woe is me on this. There's no way that I have any right to complain about anything. And so I do tend to have a little bit of a low tolerance for complainers, but
Yeah. It's like, no
so that's
violence.
the resilience part of it is like, yeah, if he can go through that, if he as a boy can show me this amazing, like majestic strength,
Hmm.
then I can do anything as well. And he
Wow.
showed.
That's absolutely amazing. What was he the inspiration behind your Super Captain Brave Man book series?
He absolutely was. Yes, when he was younger,
Mhm.
one of we've had nurses that have that we've been blessed with for years, and they've stayed with us for a while. One of our nurses, Tori, has been with our family since my son was 3 years old, and this was back when my son was still able to speak a little bit. Thank you so much, everybody who's engaging. By the way, I love this crowd. You guys are amazing, and I would absolutely love to answer any questions that you have. But you know what happened was when he was showing us all these extraordinary things, we would call him like nicknames, like, "Oh, you're such a, he's superhero. You're a super Captain Braveman because you're all of these heroes rolled up into one. You're like a superhero with all of these heroes rolled up into one." And
Mhm.
so then, we essentially got this idea. Why don't we write a children's book that helps kids learn at an early age about different abilities? Because we would go to the park and they would see this boy in a wheelchair and he'd had an NG tube coming out of his nose. He had a tracheostomy, and the
Mhm.
kids would be scared and the parents would be fearful about, like, oh my God, my kid is going to say something rude. And so they would yank their kids away if they started to stare or was like, what's wrong with him?
Right.
We were like, what a teaching opportunity it would be to be able to say, hey, this is what he has, or this is what another child has. No need to be scared. And it's okay to come up and say hi. That's like,
Mhm.
it's okay to be friends and to learn about it so it becomes normal. So the
Exactly.
Super Captain Brave Man concept was originally about helping kids learn at an early age about disability. We've
Mhm.
since branched out and we have a number of books now. We've got 5 hardcovers, 3 soft covers, and we're also starting to write custom stories for other families about neurodiversity and other kinds of topics too. So it's just
Okay.
been beautiful to get into the abilities community, to
Mhm.
see the love and support, and to, really help people learn, about different things, and strike up really important conversations
Mhm.
with their kids about these topics that would otherwise be so hard to even describe or even talk about.
Right, right. Wow, that's amazing. And so, young readers, the takeaway, you want them to know how to have these conversations and not be on the playground saying, "Oh my God." Um,
Yes,
we
yes.
got lucky. My daughters went to a school called West Patton Elementary in Mount Kisco in Westchester County,
Uh-huh.
and I got to give them all credit because that is the one school that I saw before it was a thing that made sure that if you were autistic or had a disability, one arm, whatever it is, that they made sure they had inclusion. I
Mhm.
thought because I've been working with kids since 1981, I believe it's been. So I did my training. So
Wow.
things no one knew what autistic meant, but I've been doing it.
Right.
Now
Yeah.
it's a thing. I was like, I've been there, done that. I work with quadriplegic, all types of children. But this school was way, way advanced. They would have the field day, and you had to take a disability on so that you could see what it's like. I mean, this is great for 7 year olds and 6 year olds to realize that. So then that's how you don't become that person in the room that says, "Oh, look at her." That's how you don't become that because at 7 years old, your mother said, "Well, some of us got 2 legs." I told my grandson the other day, some of us has 2 legs, some of us have a wheelchair, and some of us have a walker. I
Yeah.
mean, that's so when he sees it, he won't be like, "Grandma, look, look, look." He's going to say, "Oh, so her leg is a walker, or her leg is whatever it is," and
Right.
without shame or making the person feel guilty or feel weird. We have to have these conversations in all levels.
That's
All.
right. And, even on my own podcast, when I have those who, are living with disability on, they
Mhm.
talk about this sense of invisibility, that
Mhm.
nobody wants to give them direct eye contact. It's always like, avert, avert.
Yes.
And, before they, some of them might have had spinal cord injury with an accident, and they were like, it's like so different the way that people interact with them before accident versus after. And so
Mhm.
what we want to do is just really help people to not be afraid of it, to
Mhm.
not feel like it's something that, catches them off guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, because I mean, especially in today's world, I mean, you just never know. And now, back in the day, you'd say one kid in 100, such and such. Now it's like one in every 10. It's coming up like the numbers are rising, so that you can't even no longer decipher and say, "Well, that happens if you do X, Y, and Z." It's like
Right.
no, it just happened, and we don't know why it happened. So we
Right.
have to work within the restraints that we're given, which is, compassion for
Mhm.
everybody. Because if you're teasing someone or bullying someone, that never works anyway for anybody. Or it doesn't work for the bully because now you've got a label. doesn't work for the child being bullied because now their self-esteem has gone down, and it doesn't work for the school. So you all the way around, everybody loses. Even if you don't think you lose, you lose. So why not start when they're 7 years old, 6 years? I mean, I think as early as 2, quite
Yeah.
frankly, because
Yeah.
they're very smart at 2. Don't underestimate them.
You are so right. You are so right. I mean, they
Around the
absorb.
world at 2.
They're absorbed, and the intuition, I think, is still there when you're 2. I mean, you're catching energy and you're feeling what it's like, and more than anything, a lot of times it's not even in the lessons that we speak, it's the lessons how we act. And
Yes.
so and it's all about the modeling. It's like you can tell a young child, or especially with teenagers, it's like no one wants to listen to what their parents have to say, but they'll watch how you behave. They'll watch your actions, your interactions, and what you do when you don't even realize it. And so it's important for the parents as well as the children to continuously be learning and absorbing and understanding diversity, acceptance, and friendship and kindness.
Yes, absolutely. It starts with with the parents and the grandparents. I mean, whoever's around the child. You have
Yep.
to. I mean, a lot of America's problem right now for me is that a lot of people from, let's say, the old school, they don't want to accept past things that may have happened and just say, you know what? All right, that was them. This is not us, and we're going to show you it's not us because we're not doing the same thing, right?
Mhm.
When you do the same thing, it's like saying, well, I kind of want to do the same thing. And it's like you're going to get the same results, and they're not going to be pretty. So
Mhm.
start when they're young, and you don't have those problems. So
Mhm.
I'm excited about that. And so you've talked about radical self-love.
Yeah.
Excuse me, my throat's just not good today. For someone listening who feels lost or unlovable right now,
Yeah.
where should they start?
Yeah. That is that's such a great question, because I know that when we're hurting, when
Mhm.
we're in this vibration, when we're in this mindset that like nobody loves me, I'm no good, I'm you, like, it really is something that you might be in a situation where you just need to sit with that feeling for a bit. It's like the stages of grief. And
Mm,
then little by little, if we can train ourselves to try to think a kinder thought, if
mm,
we think, just start that momentum going slowly but surely. Because if somebody were to come up to you, if you're in that framework and we're like, you're beautiful, what are you talking? I mean, you're not going to hear it.
mm.
It's just not going to land.
Sound
It
it out.
has to start from yourself and say, like, what is there, can I list one thing? Can I list 3 things? Can I list 10 things that I actually like about myself?
Mm,
Can I list 1 thing, 3 things, 10 things that I actually love to do or that I'm good at? Like,
mhm,
and really just start with those things to get yourself into this. Yeah, you know what? I actually am really, really good at this, or I do really like this about myself, or and sooner or later and over time you will be able to start building yourself back up to this, situation where hopefully you'll be able to imbue confidence, not arrogance. I mean, that's the other side of the pendulum, certainly, but we want to get to a place
right.
where we have this, humble place of service and gratitude for
Mhm,
who we are, how we're showing up the world, knowing that there's always room for self-improvement, personal development, and continuous creation. Like
mm,
being curious about where you can go in your life, all of the things that are ahead of you is
mhm,
one way to really continue expanding rather than contracting. The depression is all about contracting. And what
mm,
we want to do is light up and lean into joy, fill our hearts with things that we love and that bring us bliss, that
mm,
we have lives that we believe that are truly worth living.
Wow, that's amazing, and that's great advice. Thank you so much. So from Eckhart Tolle to Abraham Hicks, you've
Yeah.
tapped into a lot of spiritual, powerful spiritual teachings. What's one daily mindset shift or ritual that you swear by that brings you to peace and clarity?
Yes, you mentioned 2 of my favorites. I feel like I've inhaled a lot of their teaching, a lot of the lessons there, because it does tap into the idea of
Hmm.
consciousness and about like quantum energy. And so the thing that I remember is that we are constantly turning thoughts into things. And
Mm-hmm.
so being grateful for what we have, like waking up every morning and like being thankful for the bed that you're sleeping, for the roof over your head, for the food that you get to eat, for the people that are in your life that you love. Being grateful and filling yourself with that energy and knowing that you want to carry that through the rest of your day, you
Mm-hmm.
can always say to yourself, this is going to be the best day ever. This is going to be the best day ever. I can't wait for this day. And wake up with that kind of enthusiasm. So
Mm-hmm.
I trained myself to try to be positive from moment one, from the moment that my eyes wake up, and to really just set my vibration and the tone for the rest of the day. That's just
Mm-hmm.
really, it starts with every single day.
Mm. Do you ever, is that how you stay in 5D too?
Stay in 5D. Yep.
5D, stay in 5D. Let me see. You talked about, I did that one already. Let's see. So what's one thing you believed about success in your 30s or 40s that you completely unlearned in your 50s?
Yeah. One thing about success that I learned, well, that I thought about was, it was more about the things that you accumulate. And then in reading Gary Vaynerchuk and listening to also, the inspiration that is Gary Vaynerchuk, it's like, why are we, working in jobs that we hate to impress people that we don't like and make, spend money that we don't have on things that we don't need? It's that whole cycle of consumerism. And so I've really stepped away from that and
Mhm.
really turned that on its head and said, success is really to me those intangibles. It's like, yes, I want to be comfortable and I want to live a life of, just like manifesting good things, but
Mhm.
that's not really like those things are not my target. It's that
Mhm.
feeling and that emotion along the way of happiness, of fulfillment, and of purpose. If I
Mhm.
feel every day that I get up and I get to work on fulfilling my purpose, then
Mhm.
that to me is success. It's not as quantifiable as
Mhm.
bank accounts or as, anniversarying some sort of a quantity for of year over year. Like a lot of those things that used to be what we would consider KPIs and measures of success.
Right.
To me, having a life filled with love and to be able to smile and have gratitude for all of the beauty that
Yes.
is that we surround ourselves with is really great.
Yes. There's nothing that compare to that. A friend and I was talking about that the other day. Would you rather have money or happiness? I was like happiness because you can't make money. You can make money, but it doesn't mean anything if you're not happy. I don't
Mhm.
think. I mean, it's just this paper tangible item, and that's
Yeah.
it. It's like, okay, how many cars can you have? How many homes can you have? But if you have internal happiness, I believe, like really happiness and purpose, you can do anything. You can make back that money. You can give away money. You can do anything. I mean, there's no limit if you have real internal happiness.
Mhm.
So materialistic sounds great, and I'm not saying I don't want the money. But I'm saying I know plenty of people with lots of money, and they're lots of miserable. Like
Is
so, to
that
me,
true?
it's like, what's the point? For me, I don't understand the point. If you
Joy, yes, joy.
joy, there it is.
Mhm.
Yes, you have to have internal joy. Someone will say, "How are you happy if you don't have a lot of money?" I can be just as happy as someone with $1 billion. And
Well,
I'll
I
have
think
$2.
and the fact that you're a comedian and you're making people laugh, you're making people joyful, we're actually able to poke fun at the serious. It's like if you're taking life too seriously, then you know that, or they even say that about religions that are too serious. If there isn't, there's an issue and there like red flags should start, going up if anything gets too serious. It's
Yes.
really important to have that sense of humor, to just be able to let things roll off. And that's a tremendous gift that you have that you're bestowing on the world.
Thank you. I do love comedy for that reason.
Yeah.
It's another form of happiness. I'll say it's another form of it. It's like a little ball I throw out. Sometimes I could throw out, and it might boomerang back sometimes. So you never know.
Yeah.
Um, excuse me. I have something in my throat, and I'm trying to rise above it. So forgive me for coughing.
No
Um,
worries.
your business, the Human Beauty movement, challenges beauty standards. If every young girl could hear one message about beauty from you, what would it be?
Hmm. My message about beauty is that it is more of a feeling than it is something that you see. I feel like it's something that's in your heart, something
Mm,
we feel with our hearts rather than we see with our eyes.
mhm,
Because if we think about the idea, if we see like a piece of art, like this beautiful like photograph of a butterfly, which is behind me for those of you who are on video,
mhm,
you might say, "Oh, that is so beautiful," but it's that emotion that makes you feel and appreciate that. And
mm,
so, for young girls, what is it that makes you feel good and
mm,
appreciative of yourself?
mm,
And those are the things to cultivate and will help your beauty just shine through in your energy and the way that you light people up with your smile and with the radiance of your presence.
mm,
That's what really, to me, is ultimate human beauty. It's
mm,
really based on your heart, how much self-love you can give yourself, and be comfortable and okay with yourself, because that's the way that you are going to treat other people, and they will sense that. They will sense that about you. They will sense that you are a kind person, and that you just exude beauty with every step that you take.
absolutely, and that goes to confidence. And it's something I try to tell some of my friends who were in foster care, who were adopted, maybe older, also because sometimes they don't look like everybody else, so they really
Mhm.
feel outplaced. But I'm like, at a young age, I advise parents who adopt, you have to incorporate that you are beautiful as you are, and not like if
Mhm.
your hair's straight or if your hair's curly or none of that, because that's usually what it turns out to be. And then when you go to school, what happens? You get caught up in the cycle again of people saying, well, you don't look like us, you're not beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me, I am the beautifulest. Like, do you recognize beauty when you see it? What's wrong with the kids, so but that's very rare you can say that, right?
Yeah.
So you have to
I
keep.
often will say that, two people can have a certain action and it could be for very different internal reasons. Like, for example, makeup. Like, a lot of people might wear makeup because they're like, I'm so embarrassed about the way that my skin looks or the way that this XYZ. Another person could put on makeup and be like, let me experiment with colors. This is fun. And so it's the same action, but done for different reasons. Check yourself. Check the reason why you do certain things. Is it to please and present, or is it to please other people, or is it because it's something that really brings you joy and excitement, and that you can really kind of build off of in that way? So
Mm.
yeah, that's important.
It's very important. And back to that 5D question, you talked about living in 5D. How can
Mm,
people how can people like ground themselves spiritually while
mm.
still navigating the challenges of the real world? Because it's a hard thing to do, even for
Yeah,
myself.
yeah. It's funny because I did a deeper dive into chakra work for a bit of time. And so, the grounding is a very specific thing where, you do want to be present, and you take, steps. A lot of people will walk barefoot through grass or through sand if you live by a beach and you're out by the ocean, and you can really feel, gravity, and feel a hold of being mindful of, I am here now and I am appreciating this very moment. I see, smell, taste, like you're really absorbing everything that's around you, and that helps you ground. And then on the other side is 5D. And so that's when you have maybe more of a relationship with your higher self, with your crown, and your relationship to the universe and to source. And
Mhm.
so there is a lot of methodology that can go through your ability to keep your chakras in alignment, and to also have this really great relationship with your higher self. It's almost like when people used to say, what would Jesus do? It's kind of like, what would my higher self do? What
Right.
would my, if I was to manifest or have a vision of how I want to see the world, what would it be like? And
Yep.
then you're painting within your imagination all of these things, which, that's what powerful manifestors do, is like they have a vision, they see how best to live out their truths in a very positive and enlightening way that
Mhm.
spreads love and light. And they call on their ancestors, they call on spirit guides, they call
Mhm.
on a lot of those, invisible, powerful strengths and beings and entities to help them, to really bless them, and to guide them along the way.
Mm. Wow. I mean, I tell people to start with something simple like YouTube and put on all the chakra music. There's so many types. Like there's some for healing anybody. There's some for
Yeah,
attracting love and wealth. I mean, there's tons of them. But the
yeah,
most important one is cleaning out your chakras
yeah.
first.
A,
So,
a lovely one that I do quite often now is like, sound healing. And so
yes.
going to sound baths and things like that. And so for YouTube, that's such a great resource for so many things. You can throw on a pair of headphones for those that have the ability to hear through both ears. I recommend binaural beats because it's really kind of creating a certain resonance by using two different tones in their different ears, which
Yes.
creates a sense of a separate vibration and really helps to attune your energy to what that frequency is.
Right. Well, sorry, Emma just said she lost sound.
Oh,
Lost the sound, or is that just? Oh, we can hear each other though. You can
yeah,
hear
I
me.
can hear you fine.
I thought I said, oh no, I didn't hear that. So I apologize for interrupting you. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. I tell people all the time, there's no excuse because there's tons of free things to get started on YouTube. Free. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to pay anybody. From workout to mind to yoga, and most important to that healing all the chakras and just knowing what are your points, what are your what are your major points is very important too, because then
Mhm.
you start the healing process. So just look it up, Google like you Google everything else, YouTube it, and I'm sure you'll come up with an answer. You can always inbox me, as everybody knows.
Yeah.
Because,
I started working on my heart chakra quite a lot more. And so I was doing a lot of Reiki with crystals and, using like green aventurine and rose quartz and things like that that would really help, to re-regulate and try to align the heart chakra. And so
I
that
can't,
is also something.
I can't believe that I didn't know about that 15 years ago. I may have heard of it, but I didn't know about, like, really know about it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until a friend started showing me, and I said, "Oh my God, that's what was off." And you know how you know something could be just a little bit better, but you're like, "What could it be?" And I was like, "This is what it is." I didn't have the full volume of what this body can do, and this
Mm.
mind, and the vibrations, and all that stuff is so important. But thank you. Um, if you get a chance, guys, YouTube chakra healing. Just see what it is. I'm strangling here with this cough. I don't know what's up with this cough.
You want to
I
get
think
a glass of water?
no, well, I have one. But I think it's allergies of some sort. I've never seen this, but that's all I can equate it to. So I apologize. So you've made it. I'm sorry. You've made a life purpose out of pain and adversity. What would you say to someone who's going through their own dark season right now?
Oh boy.
Mm.
Yeah, I really sit and my heart goes out to a lot of those that are suffering and that are feeling pain. And it is part of my life's work to let those know, like, gosh, divorces I've gone through, the family health crises I've gone through, like a lot of these things I can relate to a certain degree, but everybody's pain is so individual and unique. And a lot of times people don't know what to say. They don't know if they're, how to approach it and how to offer support.
Mm.
I think that, it's something where you have to give yourself that space to be able to suffer and grieve. If
Mm.
there's way, I know a lot of times we repress and we
Yeah.
suppress because we try to put on a strong face. We have kids or we've got, people that we need to, present ourselves in a certain way. And so sometimes we just end up bottling those emotions and they go into our bodies, and then we have these somatic issues where all of a sudden these pains and aches and issues are starting to crop up and we don't really know why.
Mm.
Really be kind to yourself as much as you can. Give yourself the time and space to get some sleep and some, good nourishment,
Mhm.
and really, see what you can do to give yourself some quiet time for meditation
Mm.
rather than the escapism route. Sometimes a lot of people like to do that with like either the alcohol or going to the movies or doom scrolling and,
Mhm.
a lot of content coming at us. And so it ends up like causing us to like flap in the wind, like, or read in the breeze rather
Yes.
than really finding our own grounding and our own bearing and our own self strength. And
Mm.
so, having the ability to recognize I need some time for myself right now. I need to do the things that I love. I need to get back to nature. I need to really cultivate my own health and happiness right now. Slowly but surely, the
Mm,
light will come. Slowly
mm,
but surely, the path will alight. Prayer works, meditation works, leaning
yes.
on others who are willing to support you works. You, you are not alone. A lot of people feel really lonely and isolated when they grieve, even when
Yes.
they're not grieving. Frankly, we are an
Yes.
isolated
I
culture now.
just wrote about that in a book. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I think that the social isolation they were saying is probably the ultimate thing that is almost like a secondary pandemic, if you will. It's like we're
Yes.
doing it to ourselves. We're like bottling ourselves up and we're isolating ourselves. And so, whatever you can do to socialize a bit more, to
Hmm.
have some sort of a support group, even if it's through therapy or if something that you find online that you might be able to go to in person is always helpful. But if you can't find that, then online is the next best thing. Yeah, try to surround yourself with positive content too. It's like, if you can clean out your algorithm so you're not watching the news, you're not watching all these crises, you're not like really
Yes.
like just devastating your psyche with bad news
Yes.
and all of these things will
Yes.
also help. I gave myself like a year-long break from the news, and it was the
Good
best
for
thing
you.
I
Me
ever did
too.
for my life.
And I should be ashamed of myself as a comedian. I mean, that's like our pie. But I
Yeah,
said, I can't do it. I watch the first top 3 minutes and I'm done.
yeah.
It's too overwhelming.
It is. It's
Very
toxic. It's
overwhelming.
meant to enlist and create the sensationalist reaction.
Yeah.
That's why
Yes.
it's
Well,
new.
that's what it does. It's actually made us what's the word? Since the pandemic, it's made us hyper vigilance. I forgot the word I'm looking for. Where everything's like this, everything's like that right
Yeah,
now.
it
Everything's like
creates so
that.
much anxiety. Yeah,
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 and if we don't get it, and the reason why we're scrolling through our TikToks and everything is because we've gotten so addicted to it that we have to have, the person being rolled over by the bus or the dog or whatever it is, the
yeah.
crazy things that people watch. I'm like, why are you watching that? That's kind of weird. But it's not, it's not really our fault because we've been brainwashed into, and we
Hmm.
don't even know it, especially during the pandemic when there was no one around to help us. That's all
Yeah.
we have is our phones and our laptops. And so we become addicted to this online sensation of junk.
Hmm.
It's nothing great. Very few of us are saying, I'm going to watch Eckhart Tolle or Abraham Hicks and Tony Robbins, and I'm going to just get my inner self together, right? How many of us are doing that? I did it, but most people are not doing it. They're doing the opposite. So great advice is to watch things that are positive, surround yourself around positive people who care about you. And if you don't have any, find some. There's always somebody out there for us
That's right.
in the friend world. Always, always, always a likeness. Just got to find them. So when you look at your journey,
Hmm.
not like the resumes or the brands, but the soul stuff, what are
Hmm.
you most proud of?
When it comes to the soul stuff, I think I am most proud of like coming back to myself. If it were, I
Mhm.
think that a lot of it is the hero's journey back to yourself.
Yes.
I really find that. And
Mhm.
it's kind of like you have to like go through these turns and the calamity and the suffering and the distress and all of that to know and appreciate how good it can be. It's almost like you have to have that foil. You have to have the bad in order to appreciate the good. And
Mhm.
so from that perspective, I've learned that there's less about right and wrong and good and bad, that situations are pretty much neutral. It's our reaction that is
Mhm.
everything. It's
Mhm.
like, you can go through something really, really difficult. And this is what I usually say to myself. Am I going to make it, is this going to make me bitter or is it going to make me better? I'm going to
Mhm.
choose to be better. And how can I live myself, my way forward and react in a way that is going to create a better situation for myself and for everybody else?
Wow, that's powerful stuff. I have one little trivia thing I found on you. So you've had over 100 dates. I would love to know what advice. Uh, yeah, well, it may sound a little bit much. You can clean it up for me. But what advice would you give to anyone? And what would be the weirdest or most magical dating story you haven't told anyone publicly yet?
You know what's hilarious is that when I decided to start online dating again, I had gone through 2 divorces. I, felt like, how when you are going through something as a woman, I suppose, and then you're like, man, the fact that you feel rejected or that, it's like you don't feel attractive at that point. And this was at a time in my journey where I was still working on myself. And I was still seeking, I think I was still seeking validation from others. And, there was something in me, I think from even my youth, where I would find like the male gaze as something that would give me a dopamine hit. And so I would, led to kind of like this hypersexuality. And so after I got, separated the second time, I went on like 4 different dating sites, and I ended up like having, no joke, 100 dates with like 100 different dudes in 1 year. I see so many people don't date. Good for you.
That's called speed dating. That's real speed dating.
No, and it would be like, I'll meet somebody I was like, all the free meals you get, isn't this amazing?
I was going to say, somebody ate very well that year.
I ate very well that year. But what I've been finding is like, man, guys don't have their shit together. It's like, out of all like, I cannot tell you, like, it was very difficult for me to find somebody who I felt like really had their shit together. And I was thinking to myself, wow, here I was looking for somebody to rescue me. I'm going to be rescuing myself, man. I don't need to have this. I feel like, it's not like anybody else is going to complete me. I can tell you some of the funny stories, like when I get into this guy's car for a date, and he had to like blow into like this tube in order to get the car to start. And I was like,
my God, no.
And he was like, oh, I'm on probation.
Right, exactly.
For a DUI or something like that. I was like,
I used to do DWI for, that was one of my many internships. So that's,
I had to pretend that there was a home emergency to get myself out of there. It was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. Yeah, no. So I met some very interesting people, and I wouldn't, I don't regret the experience at all.
100, that's crazy.
It was absolutely hilarious. We picking 100, yeah.
That's so crazy. What was your favorite one? Favorite? Can you think of a favorite? You don't have to say names or nothing, but
yeah, no, I'll save the guys from their names. It's interesting because I ended up dating a fellow for 2 years who was absolutely lovely. And I think that some guys are really good at dates. Like they'll take you out on the town, to different restaurants, out on their yachts, out just like all the different shows and whatnot. And it's frankly nice to do all that, but it's also really nice to have meaningful conversations. Like I am actually really, believe it or not, like a lot of people don't believe this about me, but I'm an introvert and I really don't like small talk. I like to like get to know people, and the ones that can like from the jump be like getting into like more serious, meaningful conversations. I'm like, oh yeah, this is good. And if we don't end up like dating, they become my best friends. Like I will end up, I probably have 30 of them that have stayed my best. That have stayed really, really good friends.
You're lucky. That's a lot of dates. But I mean, I'm sure we probably, if you're online, probably people did that. It's like speed dating. So yeah, but it's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool thing because you really just never know unless you're out there. You're never going to find anybody unless you're out there. Nobody does dinner parties anymore. So,
I was just listening to a talk, and it was a panel discussion that included the founder of Bumble. Whitney is her first name. Yeah. And she was talking about how she went on hiatus and decided to go back to Bumble because she really recognized that it's not about the online dating. And online dating did what it did for a period of time, but then it gets to a place where it's all about judging. It's about swiping and judgment. And she's like, now I want to reinvent this. So it's about self-love. It's like, how can you love yourself more and cultivate your own sense of confidence and esteem and really like discover yourself. And then also when you're your best self, then start to look for the person that can match your vibration. And I was
Mm.
like, wow, we've come a long way. It's really, really great.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Wow. It's yeah, dating. I've given up at this point. But it's but never give up. I see that there is hope.
I would be home by myself.
That'd be help. Dating online today, it's a little bit different though now. You might be walking into Hannibal's home.
Oh,
You're like, so Clarice, what would you like for dinner? I'll eat some Chianti. I mean, it's a different, and every time I try dating, it's like I go try Tinder. All my girlfriends get a husband. My joke is I get carpal tunnel syndrome. It's like it never works for me for some reason, but I'm gonna keep hope alive because if you can do it, I can too. That's what we need. But I know your time is valuable. I want you to hang out with us as I say goodbye to everybody. Norma asked one question. So your book is a Super Captain Brave Man. There is a series of books for children, correct? Okay.
Yeah, thank you for having it on your ticker. SuperCaptainBraveMan.com is the website. You can also find the books on Amazon. They are available in the UK. I pretty much believe worldwide on Amazon, or certainly on our website. You can order them no matter where you are. 5 different books that are hardcover, 3 different ones which are soft cover, and now we are also, for those who might be interested in having your own book and your own story told, or your family story told, or know somebody who may be, living with a disability or neurodiversity, send them my way. You can send them to info@supercaptainbraveman.com, because we help write and publish other stories too.
Really?
Supercaptainbraveman.com.
Super Captain. I'm writing it in, guys.
Yeah, so let's
BraveMan, MEN.com. Okay, let's see if I got this right, guys. Come on, help me out here now. Tell me if that's right.
Almost. It's man instead of men at the end.
Oh, and I always do this. I don't know if it's a Freudian slip or some sort. It won't let me. It will not let me. I have to delete it. It won't let me correct it because I put it. I thought I was putting in the right one, but I didn't. Who's that? Oh no. Okay, I thought someone was correcting me. All right, ready quickly. Say it again.
Info at supercaptainbraveman.com. MAN at the end.
Brave. I just got ADHD just kicked in really hard. Brave.
Carpal tunnel syndrome. It's
I have ADHD. My parents tried to tell me, but I couldn't stay focused long enough. All right, here we go. So let's see if this is right.
Yep, you got it.
Okay, so there you go, guys. If you want to see that.
I apologize that it's such a long name, but hopefully it's memorable.
It happens. Who's this one? Oh, yeah. So I appreciate it. Hang on me while I say goodbye to everybody. So guys, wow. Forgive my throat. Don't know what's going on with these allergies, but they're crazy. What an inspiring and thought-provoking conversation. I thank you to Jennifer for reminding us that beauty is more than skin deep, that it's rooted in self-acceptance, inclusivity, and the courage to live authentically. Very important. Who's that? Oh, okay. So asking for tomorrow. Okay, sorry. ADHD. There it goes. So if today's episode moved you, please be sure to check out the Human Beauty Movement and Humanist Beauty. Both of the links should be in the notes on the YouTube page, or you can ask me. And don't forget to explore her children book series, Super Captain Brave Man, which empowers young minds with messages of strength, courage, and kindness. I thank you guys all for tuning in today on The Town with Tanya. And if you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor, please subscribe, leave me a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear Jennifer's message today. Until next time, keep showing up beautifully, guys, okay? I appreciate all of you. I see you all out there. Jennifer, hang out with me while I do my real goodbye here. Yeah, guys. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. My fingers got a little happy. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, so I'm sorry, guys. That's totally my fault there. I'm looking for my, there it is. Okay, so I will see you guys next week. And Jennifer, hang out with me while I say goodbye. Bye, guys. Thank you.